Welcome to Say Something Nice with Martin Weiss, the podcast, which title is more a reminder to the host than a promise of the content inside of it. On this week's episode, we'll dive into Colin Kaepernick's workout saga, and I'll tell you why I'm not buying Mitch Trubisky's phony hip for 1 second. And producer Marcel will join me for some stories that make you say, "Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no."
But first,
I don't know who makes the NFL TV schedules, but New England versus Philadelphia, Sunday at 4:25, should have been a marquee game, right? And all the markings of it. Rematch of the Philly Special Super Bowl, except there's no Nick Foles. It was a complete dud. I understand that the Patriots got the win, but you know what my biggest takeaway from that game was? The road to the Super Bowl is going through Baltimore. Tom Brady right now is what Giants fans wish Eli Manning could have been a couple years ago. All you heard from Giants fans for like last 2, 3 years, 4 years was, if the offensive line was better, but if the defense was better. Well, you look at the Patriots, they have a league average offensive line, even though they're missing their left tackle. They have the best defense in what feels like the history of football. And they have Tom Brady, who looks incredibly pedestrian had his name not been Tom Brady. Right now, 2016, when the last time the New York Giants were a team worth a damn, they went 11-5 and lost to the Green Bay Packers in the first round of the playoffs. You may remember that was Odell Beckham's boat trip year. Eli Manning threw for a 64% completion percentage, 26 touchdowns, and 16 interceptions throughout that year. Right now, 10 games into the season, Brady's sitting at 64 and has already thrown 5 interceptions to 14 touchdowns. Now, Brady throwing 5 interceptions in a year is surprising to me. But I digress, because at the end of the day, he is still Tom Brady, and he will still have the respect of his opponents 100%. But right now, and I get it's November, it looks like Father Time has caught up to him. And not only that, this Patriots team doesn't have speed offensively. None of their wide receivers are scaring you. There's a reason why they did all that to try to keep Antonio Brown. Now, the strength of the Patriots is the defense. Now, understand the reason why I'm spending so much time on the Patriots is because most people, when you say the road to the Super Bowl is going through Baltimore, are going to be like, but what about New England? What about Tom Brady? The Patriots defense, yes, has been one of the most incredible defenses that we've seen in the history of football. That is true. And Bill Belichick is obviously one of the master tacticians of this game. But if you look at the Patriots defense, and then you look at what the Baltimore Ravens do offensively, you get a little conflict there. The Patriots defense has allowed 0 passers to throw for over 300 yards. Now, there's a couple Josh Allens and there's a couple Luke Falks in there, but still, everybody that they're playing against is getting paid to play. So, you hold under 300 yards for 10 games is very impressive. Now, they have 4 games in that same time span, so almost half of their games of the 10, they've given up over 130 rushing yards. Now, you got a little blowout factor going into there. One of them was Baltimore, obviously, and Lamar Jackson. Another Nick Chubb, and another was Buffalo. We had Singletary, Josh Allen, and then, of course, Frank Gore. These teams want to run the ball. But, however, the thing that everybody says about the Patriots defense is they stop what you're good at, and they force you to do other things. The Patriots defense, if you follow the narrative, would have stopped Lamar Jackson from running the ball. I mean, he did, essentially. He didn't have that big, long run you see against the Miamis and the Cincinnatis. But he ran effectively and threw effectively, and the team rushed for over 210 yards. This Patriots defense is built to stop every other offense in the NFL, which every other offense in the NFL is built to throw. The Ravens are zigging when everybody else is zagging, and that's why this Patriots defense is going to run into nothing but trouble going up against a guy like Lamar Jackson and Mark Ingram in that dynamic backfield. Now, to the other side of who everybody said was going to be in the AFC Championship game, the Kansas City Chiefs, who I just watched get lucky because Phillip Rivers has literally nothing left in the tank on a potential game-winning drive on Monday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs defense is lucky they don't get paid per tackle. I'll put it like that. They're lucky those are game checks and not per tackle checks, because as soon as Chris Jones is going down, the defensive tackle, that team can't stop a soul. We watched Ryan Tannehill march up and down the field on him. Phillip Rivers and his expired self marched up and down the field Monday night, just now. Kansas City's time of possession offensively is the other thing. Because that's the thing. If you have a bad defense, what's the best way to fix that? You keep your offense on the field. Kansas City controls the ball for about 30 minutes a game, which is good. And they have the 5th highest scoring offense at 28 points per game, which is good. But when you have one of the worst defenses, and here's the thing, week in, week out, you're going against the Buffaloes, the Miamis, the Tennessees. What's going to happen when it's 35 degrees outside and you're going to see a Baltimore team that's ready to come and thump you up running the ball? And the Patriots are going to do the same thing, Kansas City, mind you, run the ball right down their throats. Patrick Mahomes is incredible. Patrick Mahomes is wildly special. But I just spent the last 5 minutes telling you about how Bill Belichick's defense is built to defend against Patrick Mahomesian type players. What it's not built to defend against, and what the Kansas City Chiefs aren't built to defend against, is Lamar Jackson. Now, first, before I get to him, this Ravens defense, since they made the trade for Marcus Peters, has been playing at a Super Bowl level. Marcus Peters has 14 points in 4 weeks, which is more than he scored as a Ram. He's got 2 interceptions, 2 takeaways, and the big thing about Marcus Peters now and why he's so important to this Baltimore defense is because of who's standing behind him. Earl Thomas was the Legion of Boom. Shannon Sharp called him makeup. He covered everybody's mistakes. Marcus Peters is the type of guy that's going to gamble, and he's going to intercept you, and he's going to have those pick sixes, but he's going to also get it wrong. You got Earl Thomas back there to clean up the mess, and he's done so far with 2 interceptions and 4 forced fumbles on the year, and he knocked out Pittsburgh's starting quarterback. Now, the Ravens lost a lot on the defensive line. Zadarius Smith has been a part of what had Green Bay's defense clicking for the first 5 years. Terrell Suggs has been a cornerstone in Arizona now, and he was obviously made his hay in Baltimore. Well, my high school classmate, Matt Judon, has just covered up the slack. He's got 6 sacks, 1 forced fumble, and chased down Deshaun Watson not once but twice in what eventually will be a 41-7 blowout by the Baltimore Ravens. This Baltimore team is stacked defensively. And we have not even started to talk about the best player in the NFL currently, right here, right now, on November 18th, Lamar Jackson. He was the 5th quarterback taken right now in last year's, 2 years ago, the 5th quarterback taken in the 2017 NFL draft, drafted behind, in order, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Josh Allen, and Josh Rosen, all of whom were picked before the 15th pick in the NFL draft. Lamar Jackson, pick number 32. If you just look at his passing numbers, a 66%, 19 tugs, and 5 interceptions, well, guess what? Baker Mayfield, number 1 overall pick, completing less than 6%, and he's got more interceptions than touchdowns. Josh Allen is coming off the best game of his career. He had 4 touchdowns. He's had 3 games in his career where he's had 3 or more touchdowns. Passing, running, however you want to count them, Josh Allen has accounted for 3 or more touchdowns 3 times in his career. Lamar Jackson has done that 4 times this year. Sam Darnold gets sick. He gets mono. How do you get mono? I don't know. But I know this. Before last week, Lamar Jackson caught the flu from his kids. That one makes more sense to me. Caught the flu from his kids. That was the week he did the spin move on the Cincinnati Bengals, had everybody talking from Sunday to Thursday. He's playing at a different level. This team is at a different level because of him. And just go figure that an offensive weapon at quarterback would have been able to figure this out. If you watched him in college, if you watched him in his first year in the NFL, you knew this potential you knew this potential was there. Unless you were being disingenuous or some other type of reason that it's not worth getting into right here, right now, because Lamar will tell you himself, he's not bad for a running back. This team right here is built to run the AFC. I know everybody penciled in Mahomes as the AFC champion for the next 10 years after Brady retires. Lamar Jackson's got something to say about it. By now, I'm sure you've heard of the details of the Colin Kaepernick /NFL/ not NFL workout, which occurred over the weekend on Saturday. But what I think is, I just have a few important things that I think people are missing in all of this. A lot of the critics will say, well, if football was the most important thing to Colin Kaepernick, he would have just kowtowed to the NFL. He would have signed the waiver. He would have went and worked out in that environment, under their rules, under their guise. Now, I'm sympathetic to the idea that if you want to be a part of an organization, if you want to be a part of a team, you have to conform to an extent. You have to mold to an extent to be a part of that team. That's what makes it a team. Colin Kaepernick has shown through his actions that playing in the NFL is not the most important thing to him in his life. It's obvious. His actions speak it every single time, in every single move that he makes. My question is, why does it have to be? There are plenty of players in the NFL who grew up wanting to be NBA players. There are plenty of people in the NFL who did not dream of being NFL players as they grew up. A lot of times, these guys are super athletic, and football is the one that fits the best. Trust me. I know it defies personal wisdom. Conventional wisdom, rather. But all 53 of those guys that you see on your Thursday or your Sunday or your Mondays are not having a good time. Now, they're all getting paid, and that's why they're all there. But if those checks stop coming in, we'll see who shows up. Colin Kaepernick has shown up to work out every day for 4 or 5 days a week for the last 3 years. I ask you, what have you had that type of dedication to do? Something that you weren't gaining any money from. The only tutelage that throwing a football has in any type of other real world application is none. The only place that being good at football gives you benefit is on the football field, or potentially the endorsements that come as a result of you being on the football field, or the TV job that comes as a result of you being on the football field. Colin Kaepernick, effectively, I'm of the opinion that 3 years ago he effectively retired himself because the NFL was not going to allow him back into the league. Colin Kaepernick essentially said, I'm okay with my career ending for this type of situation, in this type of moment, and in this type of cause. He's been okay with that. Now, he stayed ready in case the NFL was not okay with the idea that one of our young, budding quarterbacks' career could end because of his political views. So I go back to, why does football have to be the most important thing in Colin Kaepernick's life? It's evident that he's good enough to play it at a high level. It's evident that he has the ability, the arm strength, and honestly, I know it was just a workout, but he looked good. And here's the thing about workouts. A workout is really a pass-fail type of thing. I took a lot of pass-fail colleges and I took a lot of pass-fail classes in college. I passed some and I failed some. I can tell you the difference between the two. When you go in and you do the work, you pass it. When you don't, you fail it. Now, I had issues with doing the work in college. Colin Kaepernick obviously has had no issue with doing the work because you do not wake up, walk out into the football field, and drop back and throw a 60-yard bomb in the air. It just doesn't happen and hit receivers in the hands. It's not happening. If I tried to do that right now, guess what? I would fail and also need rotator cuff surgery. So people ask for a grade or if his workout was good enough to be signed. Colin Kaepernick's workout did not show us anything more or less than any sane football evaluator already knew. The only question would have been, did he lose it some kind of way? But what we saw on Saturday and what anonymous NFL scouts were telling Adam Schefter for him to then tweet out, he didn't. The arm talent is there. So then, if he has the football talent, then why isn't he in the league? I asked the coach back in 2017, way back then, when Kaepernick was, when Miami was signing guys the ilk of Jay Cutler instead of signing Colin Kaepernick, if he thought that Colin Kaepernick would ever be back in the NFL. And he looked at me and laughed, and he said, absolutely not. I was of the same belief at the time, and it had nothing to do with his talent. It had everything to do with who runs the NFL and what the NFL is about. I'll put it to you like this. When you watch Monday Night Football and Sunday Night Football, listen to the theme song. Listen to the theme song of those are the two most watched programs in America. You can look it up. I'm not wrong. Those are the most watched programs in America, and look at who it's appealing to. It's a Sunday night party. Like all that. Hank Williams, Carrie Underwood, or whoever it is. That's who the NFL is marketing for and building for. So when I asked this former NFL head coach why Colin Kaepernick wouldn't be in the NFL, it had nothing to do with his talent. It had everything to do with the quote-unquote distractions. Now, the league normally reserves distractions for, like, when a guy does something so super distracting, like punching his significant other in the face or abusing his child or you name it. The NFL is full of bad people who do bad things. And the NFL and the league and the teams involved with it will go ahead and just term those distractions. And if these in your system, you can somehow rehabilitate them. I don't believe that football has an innate rehabilitory quality. And that's the same reason why I did not trust the NFL in its actions towards this workout. Colin Kaepernick has been available and ready to work out for the last 3 years. Why does he have to do it on less than 4 or 5 days' notice? Why does it have to be in Atlanta? Why does it have to be at this time? Why does it have to... When you would think that the NFL, the offending party here, because Colin Kaepernick did nothing wrong. And to that point, Colin Kaepernick sued the NFL, and the NFL settled instead of admitting wrongdoing. Now, I understand what that says legally, but if you didn't do nothing wrong, are you going to say you did? If you didn't do anything wrong, are you just going to accept, hey, I got to take this deal? You're the NFL. The NFL put one of its most prized possessions, Tom Brady, in a 4-game suspension. You think the NFL the NFL is not about its players. It's about the money. Point blank, period. Colin Kaepernick the NFL felt that Colin Kaepernick was going to cost them money through these distractions because as uncomfortable as it is to say, all those other references that I've heard about or that I mentioned, we have reference for it. You want to talk about Tyreek Hill? Well, we have reference to Ray Rice. I know that's terrible, but you want to talk about Greg Hardy? We have reference to Ray Rice. We have reference to all these different stories. We don't really have this reference to the NFL. We don't have a past. What do we do about somebody who believes that black people shouldn't be being killed by the police? And that the thought of that thought being controversial. How do we handle this? Because there's nothing to rehabilitate, right? He's not doing anything wrong. He's not offending anybody. He's not hurting anybody in society. So that distraction never went anywhere at all. So when the NFL calls and says, hey, Colin, you want to work out Saturday, 3 o'clock, Flowery Branch, Georgia, Atlanta Falcons facility? And he's like, huh? What? I mean, I've been wanting to work out forever. Now, Kaepernick's been in the NFL before. He obviously has an idea of the schedule and how it all works. You want him to work out on a Saturday. As someone who's watched the NFL consistently for the last 15, 20 years, Saturdays are busy days for NFL players, NFL teams rather. A, because they're watching Tua or Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence or whoever at whatever major college, or they're getting ready for the game that they play the next day. Tuesday is a slow day in the NFL, and Tuesday is the day that already people go and work out. Then you get to this thing about the waiver. The NFL, obviously, whenever you do any type of physical activity, they're going to have to sign some type of waiver and to make sure that, if you get hurt, it's not our fault. But that's not what this waiver said. This waiver wanted him to intentionally waive some of his employment rights. You're asking a man who actively wears shirts that say, "I know my rights," to willingly sign away some of his employment rights. You're asking a man who has had the media take his narrative and spin it to about the flag, about the anthem, about all these different things when he's been consistent with what his message is. I'm kneeling because of the oppression of the police. He's been consistent the entire time. It's all of us that have moved the goalposts and said this is what he's saying and this is what he's doing. He wants that media, the NFL media, to watch it. No independent media. The NFL has 1 million reporters, and if any of them were leaked, Colin Kaepernick didn't look good, guess what? That's the end of the story. That's it, period, stop. Because the only reason we're still talking about it is if he can play football. That's it. If it's not about football, that's really all like, if he doesn't have the ability, then this is a moot point. In my opinion, Kaepernick took a no-win situation put forth by the NFL and turned it into the most win he could by changing the location, by having it put out on by his own people, by independent media. I watched a live stream from some local Georgia Fox station. No Colin Kaepernick involved in the production whatsoever outside of being the star of the show. By doing that, he showed any team that's interested in him that he can make every throw. The only bad part is it's not going to matter because he can make every throw 3 years ago. He can make every throw a year and a half ago. He can make every throw right now, and he'll be able to make every throw next week. And it's just one of those situations where it's not right and it's not fair. I don't have the answers. All I can do is applaud people like Max Kellerman when they go on TV and say, maybe us white folk can do something about it. Because right now, we're putting all the onus on Colin Kaepernick, the victim, and none of it on the NFL, who is the person, which is the organization that has held him out unfairly. My dad always used to tell me one thing. Well, he told me a lot of things, but this is one of the things that he told me. People are always going to act in their own best self-interest. That's it. Generally, people act in their own self-interest as opposed to being selfless. Now, some people will be like, I don't do that. It's fine. You do. There's nothing wrong with that, though. Now, when you're working in collaboration, there's a big key there. It's hard. As someone who's worked in these type of collaborative partnerships before, it's difficult sometimes to get somebody who's also as motivated as you to get the project off the ground, especially if it's your idea. That's why you have to find people whose self-interest align with your self-interest. Then you can build the foundation of a happy partnership. In the NFL, there's really like I don't know the word for a partnership that goes 3 ways, but a 3-way partnership that's key for any organization to be successful. First, the GM. Second, the coach. And third, the quarterback. Those 3 people, those 3 ideals, those 3 formats all have to be the same. That's the first step to football success. If you have a quarterback If you have the general manager and the coach and they're not in on the quarterback, guess what they're doing? Looking for a new quarterback. If your GM's in on the quarterback, guess what they're doing? Looking for a new coach. If the quarterback is great and the coach is great, they're going to look at the owner's going to be like, well, where's our backup defensive lineman, Mr. General Manager? Where's our cornerbacks? What you saw on Sunday night in Los Angeles was a prime example of how it all falls apart when those three people are not all on the same page. The Chicago Bears went from a playoff team last year, a double doink away from the division game, to now on the outside looking in at 4-6, 10 weeks into the year. And it is fundamentally and truly because of this dichotomy, because of this divergence. GM Ryan Pace of the Chicago Bears traded up to draft Mitch Trubisky, and we all know who came after. Mahomes, Watson. We all know. GM Ryan Pace was one of the youngest GMs when he took that job and traded up for the guy. You don't trade up, even from the trade that they make, which I believe was from 3-2 or something like that, 3-4, 3-2. They moved up an inch and ended up giving the Colts Quentin Nelson in return. You move up like that because you got your franchise guy. You move up like that because you're one player away, and this one player you draft is going to be the key that fits in the lock to open the door to the Super Bowl. You've made your Khalil Mack trades. You've got a great receiving core. Taylor Gabriel, Allen Robinson, Tariq Cohen is one of the most unique weapons in the NFL of running back / whatever he plays. He just plays give me the ball. Kick return, punt return, you name it. Kendall Fuller's one of the better corners in the league. Eddie Jackson is a top 3 safety. Khalil Mack, Roquan Smith, Danny Trevathan, who's been hurt right now. This team in Chicago was supposed to be competing for a Super Bowl. And they traded up to get their quarterback, and they swung, and they took a fat ass miss. So now what happens? Now you have the discord, because Matt Nagy didn't draft Mr. Trubisky. They hired him after, and all he did was come and win Coach of the Year. Right? So you got the good coach. You got that. That's the first part. But Ryan Pace drafting Mitch Trubisky and Matt Nagy, it all came down to a business decision on Sunday night. Down 2 scores with 3 minutes left in a game that was imminently winnable had he pulled the starter at any point in time prior to about 7 minutes in the fourth quarter. What Matt Nagy did in pulling Mitch Trubisky, it was a sign to everybody. It was officially, I don't believe in this quarterback. Now, I'll tell you, he never believed in the quarterback. And you can go back to last year and it shows. Look at all those gimmicky plays they ran around the goal line, in the low red zone. They're out there throwing the ball to offensive linemen who are eligible, out here doing all these weird. The more plays that you have with a name in the red zone, the less you trust your quarterback. I think that's a solid metric. We're going to start that one right here. Philly special. Remember that one? There's a reason why they ran that play. Because they'd rather have Nick Foles catching it than throwing it. Matt Nagy has never trusted Mitch Trubisky, and Ryan Pace has lied to us all. Either he's the worst evaluator at quarterback that we've seen, or he is too stubborn to come off of what is the biggest mistake of his GM career. Benching him for Chase Daniel was a sign. And then the bogus hip injury that they came up with, I don't want to say that Trubisky wasn't hurt. I'm not there. And obviously, football players put their bodies through way more than I ever would volunteer to. But he wasn't hurt enough to keep playing. He played the rest of the game. If he got hurt in the second half, he went down at halftime, sat down, had a Gatorade, got up, and continued to throw incomplete pass after incomplete pass after incomplete pass until 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It just got to be too much. Or, Matt Nagy, were you trying to win a game? Feels like you were trying to win a game. Because the Rams offense, the Rams quarterback had nothing for you. It was a Todd Gurley throwback game, and he didn't really throw back that much. I mean, he sure did get a lot of touches. You won't hear him complaining about not getting the ball in the fourth quarter like he has been since the Super Bowl. But offensively, this was a game the Bears should have won this game going away. Missing 2 field goals, just all of that. None of that matters. They've been so concerned about the field goal kicker that, like, they're somehow missing the fact that their quarterback is going to hold them up from anything that matters at all. Chicago's going to be in the market for a new quarterback. And you just have to wonder if the combination of Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are going to be able to come to terms and come to agreement on a guy. Because it seems as if they've been at odds about that since Matt Nagy walked in the door. We'll have a segment every week. And if you have any ideas for segment ideas, please feel free to hit me up. You can tweet me at Martin Weiss or email me at the email address that Marcel's going to set up later and tell you about. But without further ado, it's time for...
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
This segment, we'll hear a story or a question from the news. It's kind of self-explanatory, but you get the point.
Okay, so the vegan Impossible Burger isn't vegan enough at Burger King. That's according to a class action lawsuit vegans are launching at the fast food chain, which they say grills the meat imitation product on the same grill as its fleshy counterpart. The suit, filed by Philip Williams on behalf of vegans, claims that Burger King has contaminated the Impossible Burgers by exposing them to meat byproducts on the grill, according to the suit filed Monday in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. According to the suit, Williams ordered the fake meat burger in Atlanta where he lives, but was horrified to learn that his burger was grilled on the same surface as the chain's beef burgers. As a result, he was left with a meat-free patty that is in fact covered in meat byproduct, the suit alleges. Williams claims that the restaurant gives no indication on their menu that the burgers may be cooked on the meat-touching grills, court papers say. So, knowing what we know about fast food restaurants and their food standards and the way they cook, are you really expecting that much from Burger King? Are you really expecting a clean meat-free patty?
So, first of all, I'm sympathetic to the guy. But you kind of remind me of the woman who did not know that McDonald's coffee was going to be hot. Okay? You're a vegan. I get that. I'm sympathetic to vegan. Sometimes I accidentally go vegan for like 3 days. I understand. I'm not all the way there, but I understand. However, what I will never understand is how I have a certain rule, and I'm from Louisiana, so my restaurant knowledge and ability and thoughts are a little different. But when I go to a restaurant, no matter what type of restaurant it is, I go for the specialty. If we're going to go Mexican, you know what I'm not getting? Shrimp Alfredo. If I'm at a burger joint, you know what I'm not getting? A salad. If I'm at Just Turkey, you know what I'm not getting? The chicken pesto. They got it on a name for a reason. Again, I'm sympathetic to the vegans. But this is like going to Taco Bell in Iowa and ordering a shrimp taco and being mad it's not fresh. You had to know that Burger King is going to have it all in the same assembly line. That's how it all works. Have you ever taken the time to look back there, maybe when the fire alarm was going off? You're the beep, 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 beep in the back, and you look back and you see it's all one big one big metal thing, a stove, whatever it's called, and they're flipping burgers. There's no Impossible section. If you want an Impossible burger, I suggest you possibly make it in your home, because it's going to take quite a while for all these corporations to lean into maybe some of the reasons why you went vegan. Because me personally, I ordered an Impossible burger and I give a damn it's covered in meat byproducts, because I don't have the stigmas that come along with it. But these people who are vegans because meat is murder, Burger King don't care about your meat being murder.
Right. Still murdering. They still making beef. All right. Black Friday is coming up. Deals galore, cheap TVs, AirPods, shoe deals, long lines, stampedes, early morning campouts, just to get all your favorite things on discount. You waking up early on Black Friday to go shopping?
So, Black Friday is a holiday. Well, first of all, it's a uniquely American holiday. It makes the most sense. Let's go out and spend as much money as we possibly can. That's right down this country's alley. However, noted prophet and poet 21 Savage had a line. Said, "You the type to stand in line for some free shit." And I felt that because it was an insult. I also don't stand in line. I have told myself the rule that I generally follow is I will not stand in line for something that is free unless I would not already pay for it, right? So if I was going to buy it regardless, then maybe I'll get in your line. But if not, if I wasn't going to buy it, I'm not going to just go and get a 24-ounce monster because I filled out a survey. I don't want it. So Black Friday is an odd juxtaposition between my lack of wanting to stand in line and my intense desire to receive a discount on every single product that I purchase. But luckily, we have Cyber Monday. So, no, I will not be participating in your Black Friday. I will be using my 1 to 2 day shipping on Amazon Prime.
Thanks for listening to Say Something Nice with Martin Weiss. You can listen or subscribe on SoundCloud or Apple Podcasts app. Make sure you leave a review. Thanks again for listening to Say Something Nice with Martin Weiss.